So we're back at Rocky Mountain. We have Max here with the Phoenix, and soon is a word that's thrown around a lot with Voron.
Indeed.
And last time it was soon.
Yes.
The Rocky Mountain before was soon,
Right.
and now it's soon.
It's still soon.
Because funnily enough, there's a lot more to making a big printer than just taking a printer and just slapping on some bigger extrusion and rails and belts
Right.
and whatnot. And it's been an adventure, because what version of Fusion revision are we on this now?
705.
705. And why is that? So we're going to dive into that right now, and then we'll let you know when it comes out, which is soon. So Max, take it away.
All right. So it turns out that making a printer that will do engineering materials,
So ABS,
PC, any of the glass fiber stuff, it's kind of hard because you want a machine that will print PLA at normal room temperatures, but you also want the same machine to be able to do ABS with 65C chamber temperature.
Yep.
Thermodynamics is kind of a problem, and things expand. The most recent find that we have was the X gantry actually grows by about 2 millimeters.
So right now this entire rail and rod and whatnot, 2 full millimeters of growth.
Correct.
And that's under ABS temperatures.
Right. Less of a problem on V2 and the smaller machines. Plus we have printed joints to kind of take up the slack on this.
Yeah.
These are all milled parts, so there's no room to grow. So yeah, I've destroyed at least 2 sets of linear rails.
So how did you figure that out, that we were having that expansion issue?
Because this machine produces perfect PLA prints, and then ABS, the X was perfect. The Y, we had VFAs. What I realized is VFAs are actually the ball bearings in the MGN grinding the salt to dust.
Because it was literally pushing everything out 2 millimeters, essentially.
You can actually see it kind of rotate the to try to make room for itself, and then misalign itself further as it goes.
So now,
stopgap measure basically is, yes, this side of the gantry is kind of floating on springs.
So we essentially now have to deal with an expansion joint in our motion system.
Correct.
On a rigid enclosed Core XY 3D printer.
I thought the beds are going to be the biggest problem, and that's kind of been solved. Another thing we found was the original bed frame would twist randomly.
So not the bed itself, what the bed was mounted to.
Yes, it would twist. So I kind of went back to more of the standard Voron style with two rails.
Okay.
And then you shim it up to level it out.
So we're still using 4 separate beds here.
Correct.
We're still using that because, one, this will allow the machine to run. You don't have to deal with the thermal expansion of one large bed.
Yeah. Plus, number 2 is amperage rating. In US, we have the residential 15 amp limit. If you do, so the new macro is basically heat up every bed by 5 degrees and go in a circle until you get to a temperature that you desire.
Okay.
It also kind of allows the top plate to relax a little bit into its where it needs to be at versus kind of bowing in the process.
Now, this machine's going to look a little bit different because there are 2 Phoenixes here. Yes. And it's different than last year because there's only 1 tool head on here.
Right. So I basically try to remove as many variables as possible. This is also running a normal 2209 stepper drivers. It's 24 volts. I've stripped it down to basically a massive V2 to try to eliminate as many X as possible to try to solve one thing at a time, and then we'll start adding things later as we go.
But you are still running 4 motors here, though.
Correct. So this is running Core XY with Y assist, and it's actually running the brand new merged generic kinematic in Clipper. So, which is kind of choose your own adventure kinematic that they just released. You basically define whatever kinematic you want inside the Clipper config, and it's pretty awesome.
Oh, nice.
So it's basically, it's Core XY with 2 linear motors for Y assist, and it about doubles your accelerations on the Y.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because again, this is running NEMA 23s as well. So what other sort of development hurdles have kind of cropped up over the past year since we last saw this machine?
Double shear is not required if you're running a NEMA 23 motor with an 8mm shaft.
Oh, and for those that don't know, double shear is supporting essentially
Right.
the drive rod on the top and the bottom.
Right. What I found is the one of the bearings on my double shear support was completely shot. Because at some point in either going to Open Sauce or going to RMRRF or going to Vice, one of the plates has shifted and ground the bearing to a dust.
Oh, and the reason they're not needed is just simply 8 millimeters is just bulky enough.
It's enough.
You're not
the
bending
belt
it.
tension you need to bend that shaft is enough to bend axes.
You're going to break other stuff before you break
Correct.
the driver.
Yes.
Okay.
Even aluminum.
And also, we've added a little something on the side here. So
Yeah.
what is this?
This is an autoloader. Basically, it's internals of one of those extruders, the Clockwork, with a little bit more simplified. It's actually running on a bearing, not actually dual. But the whole thing is assist that extruder in pulling sticky filaments like TPU or matte PLA is really kind of a problem to feed it.
Yeah, because this is a really long boated tube.
Yes, and also pulling filament off 5 kilograms pulls.
Okay.
So, kind of need one of these. It has a little sensor on this end of it, where it basically overdrives or underdrives constantly back and forth to keep the tension.
So it's a similar setup like you would see in like the AMS type systems
Yes.
that, or
Yes.
a box turtle even.
Yeah, and then this has like a tool hair board inside of it, just to simplify the wiring.
Awesome. And for electronics and controllers, that's mostly still the same now, except for the fact you're running just straight 24 volts instead of 48?
Right. I backtracked to basically a BTT Octopus with 2209, very, very stock config you would find on any of the other printers, just to like try to remove another variable, because it was running Kraken with 48 volts.
Okay.
Now that once the mechanical issues are resolved, we can backtrack and start adding things to it back to where it was before.
Yeah. 'Cause it's surprisingly easy to build a motion system, to build a printer and get
Right.
it running. But then once you start putting hours on it, then you start
finding
running
problems.
into the problems, and then you got to kind of step back.
Correct.
So because with Voron, when we release something, it's tested, there's manuals and whatnot.
Right.
You kind of want to ensure that it's a baked, done project
Right.
before you push it out the door.
And then once I figured out a solution, I disseminate that solution to like the 5 or 6 machines we have built
Yep.
to see if my results hold. Basically, it's a scientific method of getting consensus on what we have going on.
Yeah, and with a machine like this and the size and the cost and whatnot, it's not like something smaller like a V2 or V0 where it's a lot easier to get feedback quicker.
Right.
And it just, big machines take time.
Yeah, and if there's mill part changes,
Yeah.
now you got to figure out how to supply mill parts. If they don't have a CNC, how do you get them CNC parts and all that stuff? I've changed the screen on it so you can actually pop it out, because I did not expect to have to take my screen off as many times as possible.
Yeah, this machine has moved around quite a bit.
Yes. So I, as part of that, I changed the way it's mounted, so it's now just.
So there's been a few other design little tweaks here and
Right,
there for
right.
quality of life and optimization and whatnot.
And there is going to be, so this is running a new version of the Voron CNC tap. There is going to be a rigid mount option on the box. So you can run things like, inductive probes or
Beacon
and all that
cartographer,
stuff.
et
Yeah,
cetera.
eddy current stuff.
Excellent.
Yep.
And if you want to be really balling, you put an Ultim tool head on it. It doesn't print Ultim.
No.
It doesn't print Ultim. We're
does
not advertising that.
No, E3D. It's a present from E3D, basically.
Yeah. Excellent. So that is Max with the Phoenix. Hopefully soon.
Soon, TM.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Coverage for this year's Rocky Mountain RMRRF Fest is sponsored by LDO Motors. For printer parts, kits, accessories, and more, check them out at the link in the description.